Right. Let's have a look if this is working. Right, I think we might be live. Let me give me a hello if we are coming in. Are we live? Let's have a look. This is about the 8th time lucky. Conveniently, I was asked for ID to come in for this. And I had to upload ID and get on. But we are now live. Sabotage didn't get the better of me. And I guess that's a good start for tonight with the tech issues. I could have quite easily have gone, I'm not going to do it now. So we are now live. So I'm just going to tag everyone in tonight. If you're coming in, give me a hello. If you put a 1 in the comments, if you can hear me okay. Give me a hello and put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me okay. 1 in the comments if you can hear me. We're going to get straight on tonight. We've got the sparkling water in a wine glass. We've got the hot chocolate, cocoa powder, cinnamon, milk, make a paste, add some hot water, magnesium. Tasty, hits the spot. So give me a hello if you're coming in. Drop a 1 in the comments if you can hear me. Thanks, Jill. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Jill. Hey, Diane. How are we doing? So we will get on tonight. And if you're wondering why there's an elephant in there, this is quite simply because, hey, Cheryl, if you're coming in, put a 1 in the comments on here. If you're on replay, drop a replay below as well. So, hey, Sarah, how are we doing? Thank you for joining in tonight. And I hope this is super helpful because I wasn't going to do tonight. Hey, Alison, if I'm honest, this is a last minute thing. I decided to do this on Monday. I put a post out last week because I'm always looking for ideas that are going to help someone, are going to help you. And that's the key thing. Hey, Emma. Hey, Michelle. And I thought, you know what? It's a topic that keeps coming up with self-sabotage. And I feel like there's so much that we can share on this and make a massive difference. And let's face it, most people have a good idea of what to do, but just don't do it. And so tonight is about overcoming the elephant in the room. You know, we want the next one. It must be my blood sugar levels. It must be because bananas spike my blood sugar levels. Blueberries are bad for me now. And it's because I'm not fasting long enough. It's because I eat carbs after 6 p.m. Hey, Rachel, whatever it is. But we never really address the elephant in the room. And as you can see there, I was fortunate enough to have some sparkling water with an elephant once upon a time. So let's get going. This is going to be very practical tonight, okay? So it is going to be practical, and I want you to get the most out of this. The best thing to do is to watch this. Hey, Sean, with concentration, pen and paper with you. At the end of this, I will have some handouts, which if you want, you can click on and get, and I'll send you the link to them, which will go with this presentation, which I 100% recommend you do. Most people won't, hence why, you know, we asked the question, will this work for me? And I can 100% say that it will only work for you if you're willing to work for it. And I know that sounds really boring, and I know that sounds really, but you've got to meet us halfway with this. And this is something that we always say at Fruit Fit as well, meet us halfway, and you actually can't lose. You 100% can't lose if you meet us halfway. So will this work to me? Well, it depends. Are you willing to do the work? Do you want to change as well? And this is an important thing. There's going to be some things to say where you're like, I'm not willing to do that. And that's okay. Hey, Teresa, how are we doing? So today, here's the things we're going to cover. So how to overcome self-sabotage so you can keep going. Even when that voice in your head, the monkey on the shoulder says that you can't. Know that one? You can't do it. You just want to, don't be boring. That's what boring people do. I want to fit in. You won't be able to stick to it. You know them. 8 powerful questions to ask yourself so you can boost your willpower, which I'll give out as a handout at the end as well, which I think is super key. We're not going to 4D print it. That would be good, but you'll be able to click on print it if you want, or have it on your phone, have it somewhere you can see. What to do if you can't get motivated to do the things you know you need to do. We've all been there. How to keep momentum going, even at weekends, so you don't fall off the bandwagon. A simple way to start increasing your confidence in yourself today. And confidence is everything, right? Confidence, you get confidence from doing, though. Doing provides the evidence to increase your confidence. If you've got confidence, everything is easier. You'll say yes to more things. That can increase our energy. That can improve our energy. That can improve our mental health, our well-being, because we know from research that behavior intervention is one of the best things we can do for our mental health as well, which then impacts our health, which then makes us more likely to stick to things because we want to do it. And what to do if you are a people pleaser. We know that one. Hey, Claire. So this is something, before we even get into this, I want to touch on. I don't need coaching or help with nutrition, as I know what to do, but I just don't do it. And people say that all the time. And this is where I want to say that actually that right there is a self-sabotaging sentence, potentially. Go into this more later. But if you consider this, that sometimes all as we need is a nudge, a kick up the bum in the right direction. That's where accountability comes in on this. And this is where it comes from. So my weight has gone up. This is a question I had 2 days ago, which I wasn't even going to include in this, by the way. I wasn't even going to include it. My weight has gone up today. What's the point? I do everything right, but still no change. Anyone said that before? Drop a yes in the comments if you said that before. I'd say that's probably one of the most common things. And sometimes we just need to, we are inches away. And I'm sharing this now because I know that it's very common for us to look at something and go, am I going to take anything from this? Or is this just boring? Sorry, I've got things to do. I've got the dishwasher to empty, work to finish off, kids to put to bed, whatever. And even if you just watch this bit and you go, that might just make you do it for one more day. Yes, Louise, Diane, Cheryl. Yeah, like this is probably the most common message that I've ever had. And this is why sometimes just having someone to voice it to, number one, that might sound odd, but it's powerful. But then going into the space of, okay, what can we do instead? Well, we can weigh daily. Now, this might sound odd, but sometimes we just need to know that actually one weight is like thin air. And your response to that weight is the issue, not the weight itself. Your weight will fluctuate up and down. On average, it could be as high as 4 pounds in a day. The key thing though is to, if you are going by weight, to get an accurate measure, you have to do it first thing in the morning, before eating or drinking, after using the loo. 2, you have to do it every morning, as much as you can. Add them all up. So say you've got 7 weigh-ins that you do, then divide them by 7 to make an average over the week. This is your weight, that number. Then you compare that week with your average the next week, with your average the next week. Then you actually get data that you can use rather than, oh my God, I did a great day yesterday, I put on 3 pounds. Well, guess what? Your hay fever could have been bad. Oh my God, I've lost 3 pounds today. That's amazing. I'm going to celebrate. Guess what? You could have taken an antihistamine and that takes down the histamine reaction, which could mean you're holding less water. I'm just giving one example then. I could go in all day, but I'm not spending this whole session talking about weight and strategies on that. But that's just one thing right there, that if we have knowledge in that area there, we might just go for one more day. If we go for one more day every week, think of that impact over the year. That could be 52 more days that we're more successful with. That is where you get results, not trying to figure out whether blueberries or banana are going to spike your blood sugar by 0.1 more than the other. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. And if anyone's applying the weekly average rule, let me know how you're finding it. Hey, Ali. Hey, Eileen. So a bit about me, if you don't know, because some people I know don't know who I am. So my name is Matt Frucci. Growing up, eating disorder, Italian family, lots of Italian food. I had an eating disorder, anorexia growing up. Then I found out I had gluten allergy. So I was always into nutrition. Then I went into studying nutrition. I worked for public health whilst doing my research into diabetes and low-calorie diets and compensation, and worked in the NHS in diabetes before, whilst doing Frucci Fit, which is our personal training and small group personal training with our signature program, which is our kickstart program for women 40 plus, 50 plus, who pretty much know what to do, but need that accountability and support, that plan to do the things they know they need to do whilst having a bit of fun in the process. And you're probably wondering why there's a guy on the bottom right who's not me or my dad, but is rather a professor who was at Loughborough University who played quite a role in bringing the Olympics actually to London. But anyway, when I was presenting and speaking of self-sabotage, I would be horrendous. I put it off for years. So every time I'd go and do a presentation, I would just call in, just not go. You can just not go at university, ace the coursework, course presentation is only worth 10%, done. Until when I was doing my postgraduate research and you have to do a viva and defend your research in front of doctors and professors and say why you did what you did, I had no way to avoid that without failing. And I can remember crawling on the floor, putting my memory stick, remember we used to have memory sticks, into a laptop hard drive, no, a computer desktop, thinking I would really want this to swallow me up right now. And after the presentation, it was a horrendous presentation. The content was good, but dry mouth, red in the face, shaking, just listening to my voice the whole time. At the end, he literally asked me, what do you want to do? What do you actually want to do? And it was at that moment where I shared what I wanted to do, and essentially what I'm doing now to an extent. And he said, like, you can't do anything unless you can actually communicate and talk. And at that moment, the pain of staying the same was greater than the pain of change. The pain of just facing my fear and actually just speaking in front of people wasn't as painful as actually not being able to fulfill what I wanted to do. And I'll come back to that later, because the reason that's significant is today, when we go through this now, we're going to be going through a set of questions, which you're going to get the worksheet at the end, by the way, which I want you to answer along the way, which are going to hopefully get you to a place where the pain of change is actually less than the pain of staying the same. But the only way you get there is by asking great questions. So the question one here, and I want you to put this in the comments. If you could wave a magic wand, and we will hand those wands out at the end, by the way, and stop one behavior, which one would it be? If you could wave a magic wand and stop one behavior, which one would it be? And like I said, I've got one here actually. One of our magic wands here. So if you could wave one magic wand, it's amazing the type of stuff you have just lounging around when you've got kids, isn't it? Anyway, so put in the comments, if you could wave a magic wand and stop one behavior, which one would it be? Knock it down in the comments. It'd be helpful for me to see. Alison, eating in the evening. Perfect. We just so happen to have that one as an example today. So that's awesome. Cheryl, comfort, stress, snacking. Yeah. Deborah, how are we doing? Perfect. So they're ones that will work. So if you could write that down, that would be really helpful. Eileen, eating when stressed, that's come up a lot. Diane, picking all day. Teresa, comfort eating. Great. So, and the funny thing is, we're not even going to be talking about protein today or anything like that, because guess what? You know that already. If I say yes to quote unquote bad food, I eat a biscuit, I can't stop at one, I go on and eating. Yeah. Annie, eating when stressed. Perfect. This is great. And I think today, I really want you to write down these questions. Like I said, the worksheet at the end, this is going to be really helpful for you. So, perfect. Some really good ones on there. So that brings us on to the next question, where you're probably going, I know what to do already. Like, I know I just need to stop at one biscuit. I know I need to stop comfy eating. It doesn't even feel good, you probably say. You probably say it feels good at the time, but I know I feel rubbish after. It comes so natural. I want to stop, so why do I keep messing up? That is the golden question, isn't it? And that is probably the second most common question. So a part of the reason is we never sit in the feeling great for long enough. We never sit in that feeling where we're feeling great for long enough, because we're so focused on it not lasting. We almost want it not to last. We just don't believe it will last. Whether that's related to something deeper, I don't know. But the thing is, we'll blame willpower, but consider that actually everyone fails. And I know this is a cheesy as hell quote, but some of the most successful people in the world fail. Athletes fail every day. And the thing is, we almost, this sounds bad, but others will celebrate others' failure. You've only got to look at what sells in the media, right? If someone messes up, if someone fails, it's literally front page. And maybe this is a culture thing where we think if we've had one biscuit, we might as well have 10. Yet it doesn't add up at all. Everyone fails, but it's actually the more, like Michael Jordan said, I've failed over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. And actually, that's why when people say diets fail, it's kind of not real. It doesn't add up, because actually the people who are the most successful at weight loss have already tried the most things. They've tried for longer. They've done more things. They've just kept going. And that's the key thing to remember from the start, that actually you will mess up. You will have days where you're like, that wasn't the best day. And that's where, like, we'll come on to, did I try my best today? Rather than, I messed up, solid. Right, can I still try my best today? Can I be proud of the decision I'm about to make now? What example am I setting to my kids, to my family, to my friends, to those I work with, to those around me? Am I basically saying that it's okay not to prioritize your health? What am I teaching others? And these are just some of the things that have come up over the past week, by the way, with conversations I've been having with people who are starting our summer kickstart program. You know, actually, yeah, I'm basically setting an example to XYZ that actually, don't worry about your health. It's okay. Yes, for me, if I fail once, I think solid. So what is self-sabotage? Put in the comments, what do you think self-sabotage is? What do you think self-sabotage is? Any suggestions, any comments? What do you think self-sabotage is? What does it mean? And this is where we get deep already. I think I'm going to have to take a sip of my sparkling water in the wine glass. So what does self-sabotage mean to you? What does self-sabotage mean to you? Any ideas? Because if you can't define it, then what are we actually doing? And this is where it gets quite interesting, because giving yourself permission to fail. I love that, Louise. And the thing I love about that is you've hit the nail on the head, in that you've actually chosen to fail. And by choosing to fail, this is the key thing. This is the key thing. By choosing to fail, you've given yourself permission. You are making a choice, a conscious choice. And this is where the cycle starts. So we mess up, choosing to go against what you actually want. Yeah, the choice. And this is the key thing. We mess up, like everyone does, whether you call it a mess up or you call it still a win. Because let's face it, if you start a new habit and you mess up one day, you can either mess up for the rest of the week, or you can decide to get back to it. Telling yourself constantly that I'll start tomorrow when tomorrow never comes. One half of my brain wants to get healthy. The other half doesn't want to give up. Cake, chocolate. Yeah, and that's okay. Whatever you value more. We mess up, then we start again, but only now we make bigger promises. Ever been there before? So we mess up. Oh, I've messed up my 16/8 fasting. So tomorrow I'm going to fast for 20 hours instead. So then what do? Oh, we messed up again. Now the mess up's bigger. You know what? Sod this. I might as well just really go in hard on this. Then F it. start again at some point, repeat the cycle. But what if there was no such thing as self-sabotage? Like you've said, is it actually a thing? Or is it just actually something that we're choosing to do because we're not sabotaging? We value the benefit we get from doing it. So we're giving us our permission to do something because it might not be that conscious, but you get a big benefit from doing it. And you might even label it bad. Oh, that bad habit of eating chocolate, but you call it bad, but actually you get a lot of benefit from it. And maybe you value that more, maybe you don't. And we go into that space of I've failed, so there's no point. But what do you actually get from this? What do you get from, what are the benefits of saying that right there? I have failed, so there's no point. Hey, Alex, how you doing? And this is the key thing, like choosing short-term benefit over long-term. Yeah, absolutely, Alison. But remember, short-term benefit doesn't always mean it has to be like boring. Like people get lots of short-term benefit and instant gratification from just looking out the window, from just listening to birds for 2 minutes, from just standing outside in the sun, from having a bath, to literally hearing their favorite song. So there's lots of positive things that actually give you instant gratification. But we often, if you say, oh yeah, avoid instant gratification, you often go, yeah, instant gratification is really bad. But actually, that's like saying, well, putting on your favorite song is bad. That gives you instant gratification, which can make you feel good very fast. That can change the way you feel very quickly. So I have failed, so there's no point. That is something that we get so much dopamine from. And we might not realize it, but we say it because it makes us feel good. Why? Well, as I'm about to go through, it actually stops you. It gives you permission not to go through something that human beings hate. Any guesses on that? Begins with ch, as I say to my kids. Ch, a, n, j, g, e. That's how we speak with the kids. Just takes ages to say a sentence. Change. I failed, so there's no point. Guess what? It feels good because we don't have to go through change. And change is scary, change is hard. So it actually gives us a little dopamine hit for a bit, but then what happens is we go back to square one. We realize that nothing's changed. So question 2, write this down. So you've already got the one habit that we want to change. Now I want you to write down what are the benefits you get from doing the behavior which you call self-sabotage. So we call it comfort eating. We've called it self-sabotage. But what benefits you get from it? It could be it tastes nice. It could be it's cheap sometimes, not all the time. It kills some time, maybe. What benefits do you get from doing that behavior? The stress eating, does it take away the stress? Maybe for a bit. Or does it give you an extra problem? But focus on the benefits right now. What are the benefits? Because there must be some benefits, otherwise we wouldn't do it. There must be some benefit. So is it the taste? Is it the convenience? What is it? So write down the benefits that you get from doing it. It's a really powerful thing to do. Your brain doesn't like this. The monkey on your shoulder doesn't like it. It'd rather you just really try not to do it. Pink elephant. Don't think of a pink elephant. Yeah. Okay. I'll give you 30 seconds to do that. Okay. Okay. Right. So I hope that was okay, helpful. So next part on here. How much weight do I need to lose? And I'm bringing this up because this is a slight detour. But I guess the taste, I'm sure that can't be any benefit. Eileen, so it feels good at the time. So what's the benefit of doing the stress eating? What do you get from doing it? So yeah, Cheryl, can you think of any more benefits of the habit you want to change? Instant satisfaction, taste, makes me feel better for a while. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, there are benefits. And this is about increasing our awareness of this. And the reason I'm bringing up this, how much weight do I need to lose, is because quite often we think that we've got miles to do. We got to do everything. We got to change everything. If we mess up once, if we have a biscuit, that means we failed. But actually look at the research. 5% of your starting weight lowers your risk of cholesterol, improves mental health, improves sleep, reduce your risk of diabetes. Like this isn't massive. And actually you can get away with quote unquote messing up and still getting results, providing you don't just go, sod it, I'm going to not fall off the bandwagon, but jump off. Give myself permission to jump off the bandwagon. Probably going to get a few cuts and grazes along the way. I had one problem, I've now got two. Takes your mind off it, off what was making me stressed. Yeah. Feel better for a while. Yeah. Instant comfort. Yeah. And here's the thing, like when you think about this, the fear that we're almost not avoiding, we're almost avoiding by saying, I've failed now. So there's three kinds of fear or discomfort that we want to avoid, which is the pain of loss, the pain of process, which is doing the work, and the pain of the outcome. Will it be worth it? Like, and this is an interesting one that some of you touched on already. Like, is it worth not having the cake and achieving it? Is it worth it? And that's something that we'll question as we go. So the pain of loss, like, am I going to lose friends, family? Will they think less of me? Am I going to waste time on this? And that's if you stop doing this habit, do you lose? What do you lose? And this is sometimes scary, like changing your habits and getting rid of that behavior can be quite scary. Like if you drink every night and then you stop drinking, or you say, no, not tonight, that can be that fear, like, will they think less of me? What are they going to think? And that can be quite tough. And there's fear around that. What could I gain? This is what the opposite. What's the opposite to losing? What could I gain? Will my sleep be better? Will my mood be better? Will my energy will be better? Could I get time back? What would that be like? This is the key thing. The pain of process, doing the work. Like, actually, it's a pain having to think of something else to do. Too much hassle. It's going to be hard. If I'm stressed and I'm avoiding the chocolate, is that too much hassle for me? Is it going to be hard? Is it going to be a struggle? I haven't got time to do it. I've not got the energy to think about. I have to do that. It's a habit of mine. I should do that. These are signs that we've got a bit of fear of kind of doing it. Mainly because we're potentially scared of failing as well, or being perfect. The pain of outcome. Is it even worth it? Let's say you do it. Is it even worth it? Like not having, like being in control of the food, not comfy. Is it actually worth it? What if I get there? What do I do then? Do I deserve it? And this is where we have to remember, achieving goals is about progress and learning and becoming more. It's not about being perfect. And this is where, and we're going to go through these questions in a bit more detail, but just asking questions like, who else would be impacted if you get through this? If you actually get a handle on the habit, what will be different 5 years from now? And I want to touch on this now, but looking at worried about what others would say, where's this actually coming from? Where is this coming from who are we worried about? And actually just being aware of this. We're not going to go into massive detail on this now, but it's something to think about. And this is what I love about it is how many times do you think we go through this cycle here before it starts to become a habit? So we think about, we contemplate change, we plan, we take that action. we maintain for a bit, then we relapse, and then we go again. We go again. We go again. How many times do you think we go through this? Any ideas? Any guesses? How many times you go through the circle of change before it starts to become a habit? And it's amazing to think that if we mess up once, we failed. Yet the research would suggest massively the opposite is true. Any guesses how many times we have to go through the circle of change before it starts? I emphasize the word starts. Any guesses? It's more than one. How are we doing, Penny? How are we doing, Lucy? Cheryl, 40. So maybe till it becomes massively embedded, but it is 5. Okay, so 5 times going through this, thinking about change, planning it, taking action, maintaining that action, relapse, go again. Same thing, same thing. 5 times before it even starts to become a habit. And this is to remember that we have to be super patient. So beating yourself up and going backwards, the shorter the gap between me go straight back to pre-contemplation again, or straight back in at planning, or straight back in at action. Or, you might plan again. You might go, what worked, what didn't work? That's something we do a lot in our check-ins at Fruit Chief Fit. What worked, what didn't work? Let's do more of what's worked and less of what's not. So question 3, what is the trigger to this self-sabotaging behavior? So for me, in like public speaking and confidence, nerves, it would normally be around like academia, to be honest, or it'd be around having to stand up. I'll be fine in many social events, but having to stand up. In terms of comfort eating, is it the stress, which is the trigger? What would you say the trigger is for you? What's the trigger to any type of stress? Is it to do with someone? Okay. Any guesses? Any ideas of what your triggers are? This could be a person, my 3-year-old, yeah. Stress from work and sometimes boredom. It's easy, yeah. It could be the end of the evening. It could be a friend ringing you up, asking you for, and the more work generally, or when things aren't going well for children yet, insecurity, loneliness, boredom, feeling vulnerable, worry, any of those things. Usually after a day of work and finally getting off to bed, I reach for a biscuit or an unhappy snack. Family members, frame of mind. And it's important to get aware of these triggers, because then when they come, we can be aware of them and aware of our response. Otherwise, it becomes a surprise. And when we get a surprise, we react. When we're expecting the trigger to come, we can then respond. Anxiety, yeah. So what percentage of what we do you think is in our subconscious? Any ideas, any guesses? What percentage of what we do is in our subconscious? And you might think, who the hell are those cartoon characters? And that's Luca. And if you've got kids, you might have watched the film Luca. Even if you haven't got kids, it's actually a great film. In one of the bits, Alberto turns to Luca and he says, you have to silencio your Bruno. Silence your Bruno. And they say that Bruno is the voice in your head that says, I can't do this. He's like, the voice in your head that says, I can't do this. That won't work. This won't work. And their mantra is silencio Bruno. And they say that, shout that. Every time they get that self-doubt, every time that happens, they just shout that out. And what does that do? That stops us going straight into that mode, that mindset of, autopilot subconscious taking over. So they shout, "Silencio your Bruno." They're applying a lot of psychological theory in this film, which is great. To help kids and adults overcome those habits that we think are set in stone, change the way we think. So the percentage might surprise you. Eileen says 70, Alison 80, 95% of what we do is in our subconscious. So it's tough, like entering your PIN number, making a coffee, emptying your dishwasher, driving, not believing in ourselves, eating when stressed. These can be all events that are subconscious. Blame ourselves and feeling guilty after eating a certain food. And this is where it comes into, will I be able to keep this up? And the subconscious is a really interesting thing. It helps us make better choices, or more efficient choices, I should say. So it helps us make more efficient choices. So we have to think less. But when we want to change a habit, we have to think more. But that can be quite overwhelming and stressful, right? Because all of a sudden, you don't have to think. And you might, so Cheryl, you touched on earlier, there must be more benefits. Well, the benefit of comfort eating or stress eating is that there's one less thing to think about, because you're distracted from that and you don't have to change the habit. That's just something you do. You're not thinking, "Oh, I'm stressed and I don't want to eat that. I normally do that." But one way around this to start is to think about this as just do it for today. And the monkey on your shoulder, the Bruno, the demon in your head, whatever you want to call it, is kind of silenced from that. Because if you just do it for today, you're not saying you're going to do it forever. Today is the only thing that exists. So can you just do it right now in this moment? And then we come up with those obstacles a little bit. But I feel I have to drink when socializing. But I feel I have to have a biscuit with my cup of tea. And this is where I like to use the analogy of a pothole. Being in Wiltshire, we're very aware of potholes and we understand that they are everywhere. And the reason they've got so much to do with habit changes, if you were given the choice to go on a potholed A road in Wiltshire or a nice clear highway, clear roads, nice for your car, you would probably choose the highway. And it's better looked after. You can go a little bit faster. You can go on autopilot. You don't have to dodge potholes. You don't have to go in narrow roads, pull over into hedges to let another car go past, get stuck behind tractors. You can just drive almost on autopilot. And this is similar when it comes to habits. Eating when stressed becomes, I'm going to take the highway. If you want to change that, you're going to have to take the A road. But the good thing is, the more you take the A road, the easier it becomes to drive in. The more you take that A road, the more it has to be looked after. The more you go, you know what, there's a pothole there that needs to be sorted after. The more you're likely to ring up Wiltshire Council and say, can you sort out this pothole? And then just so happens that 2 years later, that pothole is sorted. And although that took a long time, it still got done eventually. And the pothole is then filled in and it becomes easier to drive on. And all of a sudden it's used more and it becomes easier to do. And we have to think about, when we're faced with a decision, I'm going for the pothole. I'm in with the pothole now. And all of a sudden the potholes will come less and less. And Wiltshire Council will get a hell of a lot of emails. But anyway, I digress. So what's the secret to finding the willpower to do it? Well, the secret really is, put your attention on how you feel. When you have an evening of, say, no comfort eating, no stress eating, it is probably the most underrated feeling in the world. And I don't think our brain ever puts enough attention on the fact that we actually get a dopamine hit from not binge eating. We get a dopamine hit from actually going to bed without feeling a little bit bloated, without feeling a little bit stuffed, without having to get up in the middle of the night because we need to go to the toilet. Like, we get a dopamine hit from that. We wake up in the morning and go, you know what? I did it. That felt good. That's probably one of the most underrated feelings. Definitely swimming council. Yeah. And put your attention on that. And this is where you can get a little bit more tactical now. We're talking higher level with the questioning, but I fancy a snack. When that comes into your head, here's some strategies. Clap 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Say the word change. All of a sudden, you just change the way you are right there. You've interrupted it. Silencio your Bruno. Very similar thing there. Smile and say change. Say the word change. Go for a walk. Meditate, music, have a bath. These are all things that are instant gratification. And change our mindset here. Rather than, oh yeah, but what if I'm not motivated? What if I'm stressed? Even if I'm stressed, I'll do my workout. Even if I'm stressed, I'll do a 1-minute workout like we do in Preachy Fit. Sounds pointless, but guess what? Those 1 minutes add up. And I always challenge people. If you think it's pointless, do it for 4 weeks, then tell me it's pointless. Then at least we have evidence. Even if I can't be bothered, I'll show up. And at the end, I will give you this. But this is 8 power questions that I want you to ask when that comes up. Like, I'm stressed, I need some food. You can go through these questions, write them down. Number 1, what am I really committed to in this moment? Like, when that comes up, oh yeah, just sod it, I'm so stressed. What am I committed to in this moment? What are my actions saying I'm committed to? Number 2, will this choice bring me long-term fulfillment or short-term gratification? Where will I be 5 years from now? Will this choice take me towards an inspiring future or keep me stuck in the past? Am I doing this for me or am I trying to people please? Like, and this brings it on to, you know, what's the point of everyone around you being happy if you aren't? Like, what is the point in that? Does it actually make them happy? Or do you just feel like, because you're not happy, you're always trying harder to make them happy? Maybe they want you to be happy. We can't see that. Am I looking for what's right or am I looking for what's wrong? Oh, I'm so stressed right now. Okay, what was the best part of your day today? Because even the worst days have a best part. You know, I didn't get this done, this happened, this happened. But you know what? This was great. Will this choice steal my energy or give me energy? And I mean true energy. Will I use this situation as an opportunity to grow and be better or beat myself up? And this is the great thing. Don't be scared of stress. Actually, stress now, say stress eating. If stress comes, that gives you an opportunity to act differently next time. Does this choice fit with what I say I want, or does it fit with what I say I don't want? And like I said, at the end of this, I'll give you a handout of this as well. So some powerful questions on there, hence the name. So next question. When this trigger comes, I will do insert action. The reason being is we can't just expect to stop doing something. Like, that's hard. That's like the pink elephant analogy. Like, stop thinking of an elephant now. Don't think of an elephant. Okay. Don't think of an elephant. Don't think of an elephant. Now you're just thinking of an elephant because you're trying not to do it. So we have to do something else instead, whether that is answering some questions like this, whether that's having a bath, reading a book, putting some music on, going for a walk, bringing a friend, watching TV. It could be food related, having an alcohol-free beer, whatever. That's something I do. That's why I shared that. Freedom, by the way, freedom. Nice cans of beer. And then it becomes I just want to fit in. I don't want to miss out. And I get it. But consider this. To fit in with who and with what? Because we say we want one thing, but then the average person is not as fit as they'd like to be, unfulfilled, stressed out. This is research, tired, overweight. And we'll say things like it's not normal to count calories, not normal to get up at 6 a.m. to work out. This is what you're faced with. if you want to get different results to the norm, you have to do things that people will say aren't normal. It's not normal to do a 1-minute workout. That's bonkers. It's not normal to get up at 6 a.m. and go for a workout. It's not normal to finish work and rather than come to the pub with us, you're going to a workout. What's going on? It's not normal to have a piece of fruit instead of biscuits at work when everyone's got the biscuits. Come on, it's Jane's birthday. It's not normal to say, no, I'm all right. Do you want to actually be normal? That is a question to us. And there's no right or wrong with that. But sometimes the issue comes in that we say we want to fit in, but then we say we don't want to be normal. Or we don't want to be like them. Then there's a conflict. The key is, can you delay gratification? Like, consider the most common time to give up in a marathon. Do you know what it is? It was recently on, so you might have heard it. The middle, the dip. It's the most common time. And then we have to look at the questioning. I'm choosing not to have them because. Like, why am I choosing not to make this decision? Why am I choosing to have that? And this is something that we share in our Kickstart book when people that we work for in Fruity Fit at the start. So this book here. And this is the emotional cycle of change. And when we start something, we're super enthusiastic, ready to go. And then suddenly we get this informed pessimism. And we're like, oh yeah, I'm going to have to get up at 6 a.m. now, aren't I? Blimey, or I'm going to have to make half an hour in my day. Oh, this might be tough. Then we hit the valley of despair. This is bloody hard. I'm struggling. And then we can either give up and get a dopamine hit, like I said at the start, or we push through. And it's only when we push through that we get that success and fulfillment. And if we don't, and we go back, well, we get a dopamine hit, but then we repeat the cycle. It's good for a bit, but then we just repeat this cycle time and time again, which is tiring. We fall into that all or nothing, which you could argue is an easy way out. Again, you get a dopamine hit from saying, if you say I'm all or nothing, again, like the weeds you mentioned at the start, you've given yourself permission to give up. So rather than all or nothing, change to, did I try my best? No matter how big or small, what was my most significant win today? Did I try my best today? Rather than I'm an all or nothing person, what if we just became, I'm just going to try my best today. That's it. Rather than be all or nothing, did I try my best? Fine. See what happens then. And even if it means that you stopped one biscuit less, you felt in control at that party, that social event, did you still do some exercise even though that meeting ran over? Did you stop at 4 biscuits rather than 5? What can I learn from this? I overate today and I loved it. That's fine too. That sounds odd, but it's like you can overeat one day and love it. You don't need to learn from it, but I'm going to move on from it because it doesn't correspond or coincide with what I want to do. Or you might go overeat today and I feel bloody rubbish. So question 5, what has this behavior you call quote unquote self-sabotage cost you in the past? What has this behavior you call self-sabotage cost you in the past? Hey, Sarah. Hey, Emma. What's it cost you in the past? And I want you to get specific with this. If it's money, like trying lots of things, how much money has it cost you in the past? Like comfort eating. How much does that cost? Stress eating. How much does that cost? What does it cost to, I spoke to someone the other week about, they're very passionate about the environment and all of the changes that we're making. And it was like, you know what? Yeah, by eating when I don't need it, I am just wasting food. Sounds odd, but that's important to them. What's the cost of that? Health, confidence. What's the cost of not having confidence? Experiences with my grandkids came up the other day. Being able to go for those walks without saying, oh, no, I don't do that. Be as specific as possible with this, and this will give you some powerful leverage, some powerful energy to do things that maybe you wouldn't normally do, or you'd find tough to do, because there's a hell of a lot of power in that. What's the cost of this behavior? And like we did the benefits at the start, we got the cost with it. And this brings me on to the next one. What happens in the future if you don't get a handle on this? What happens 5 years from now? Jill, it's cost me good health, laziness, confidence. It's given me tiredness, lethargy. Yeah. What happens in the future if you don't get a handle on this 5 years from now? Like the ghost of Christmas future has just come down. And it's amazing, isn't it? When most people will find it quite hard to do this one, because we always think tomorrow will be easier, but tomorrow gets a little bit harder. And if we were really shown where we'd be 5 years from now, if we don't get a handle on this, I do think it'd be scary. You only got to look at Scrooge. What happens when you see your future? It's like, oh yeah, powerful. That reflection mode, slowing down and going through that. And again, going through habit change is going to be tough, but we've got to take the pothole road. And this brings me to the question, so how do we change? When we start to think differently? And all around this, we have to practice imagine showing up. Picture yourself in control of that party, not pleasing people, but rather pleasing you. Picture the new you, act like that person and think like that person. Think of that person you want to be. And instead of waiting to be like that, act like that now. What would that person do today? What type of decisions would they make? And all of a sudden you create new circuits in your brain, new pathways, new highways, less potholes. Next question. Imagine you no longer do this habit. What does your life look like now? What are the benefits now of doing that? What are the benefits of doing it? So you no longer do this habit. What does your life look like now? What are the benefits? What's different? 5 years from now, diabetes, heart disease, illness, scary stuff, effects on my health, confidence. Yeah. And this is where it is a little bit different, because a lot of goal setting is great, but it often focuses on like this bit here, which is important. This is why I've got this question in, but you'll probably find from doing this, it's like a nice to have. It's like, yeah, that's good. But actually, a lot of people are, and this is just human psychology, more motivated by the cost of doing something. If I don't get a handle on this now, what could happen here? We're very fear driven, which can work into our favor. We've got to tap into that to help us overcome this so-called self-sabotage and to help us do what we said we would do, even when it gets hard. Because it will be hard. That's why most people don't do it. That's why most people do fit in. That's about that cost-benefit analysis. And it might look something like this. What's the cost of stress eating, waking up tired, waking up hungover, money wasted, grouchy of lovers, not being productive, feeling blighted, beating myself up for doing it? That's a key thing with that. Then you might look at it the other way. Benefits of it, fits in, tastes good, changes how you feel. Cheap, convenient, and easy, right? So I want to touch on some strategies to overcome comfort eating, especially as it's come up. Eileen, improved health and fitness, wearing normal size clothes, walking upstairs normally, love it. Hey, Wendy, life would be more energetic, walking in the hills, enjoying trying on new clothes. That's great. And that breeds confidence and so on and so forth. So some strategies to help overcome. So often that guilt that comes after the binge, I'm a failure. And sometimes it's like, actually, you're right. I've had a chocolate or a biscuit, like Jill mentioned at the start. But why am I feeling guilty when it's the same as having an apple or a banana in terms of calories? When we stop and think and rationalize it, with nutrition, it sometimes really doesn't make sense. It's only then that we go, I've had one chocolate, I'll now have 10. Well, now we got an issue. But actually, when you've had the chocolate, it's like, you know what, why am I beating myself? Like, especially if it's within your intake. The key thing, that monkey on your shoulder will say, yeah, you failed. You shouldn't have had that. And this is where that monkey on your shoulder will try and get in your head. Because you'll start doing well for a bit, and then it will want you to return to your old subconscious self. Because remember, it's easier. You can just go take the highway. You've done the pothole roads for a bit, but the council are now like, oh, they keep ringing me. Let's just put them back to that road. It's easier. We say things like, you deserve it. You've had a hard day. That monkey on your shoulder will be telling you that. When you hear that, that's silence. You need to silencio your Bruno. Change. You always struggle this time of year. You've had a hard day. You deserve it. Don't be boring. It's celebration. And just some tactics remember, strategies last long term. Tactics are things that are very individual. And in Fruity Fit at the start, we always look at habits that are going to work for you. Some people like to go into these into more depth, other people don't. But we're always there when you need it. That's the key thing. But these are some tactics you might go, yeah, that might work for me, that might not. Sit on a different chair in the evening where you would normally drink or comfort eat. This sounds odd, but where do you spend most of your time when you come in from work? Do you walk straight in the kitchen? If you walk straight in the kitchen, well, guess what? You're surrounded by food. What if you just walked into the living room and sat down? What if you went for a walk around the block first, then came in and almost chilled out? What if you sat in a different chair in the living room? Try it tonight. If you sleep on one side of the bed normally, sleep on the other side of the bed. Well, it's even funnier if you sleep with someone else in your bed. They're like, what the hell are you doing in my side of the bed? They can't get their head around it. That's how we're habit, creatures of habit. Cover your leftovers and snacks in opaque containers. You eat with your eyes, right? If food presentation is so key, do the opposite to what restaurants do. Go for a walk, get outside, move, 1 minute workout, 20-minute workout. Changes the way you feel fast. Don't think of a pink elephant. And this is something called urge surfing. So this is where instead of trying to go away urge, stop, go away urge. When you've got that urge, just you're stressed, just eat. You want to embrace it. How long does this urge last for? Do you even know? Be curious. Where is the urge? Is it on your head? Is it on your ears? In your head, shoulders, knees, toes? How long does the urge last for? What does it look like? Is it an elephant? Who knows? Is it a monkey? Is it real? If I have a bath, does it go away? How long can you surf it for? If you surf the urge, does it just go away? Like we said, meditate, nap, controlled recovery period. I say don't tell Mrs. Frucci because sometimes, we're we're looking after kids and I'm having a quick if I say I'm having a nap, that sounds, you're having a nap. If I call it a controlled recovery period, can you see how that's, okay, I'm just going to have a controlled recovery period. And that means I just shut my eyes for 5 minutes and breathe. It's powerful. There's no pressure on going to sleep. There's no meditation. So I'm not like, I can't concentrate. I don't like meditate. I just shut my eyes. Lovely. Sometimes I fall asleep. Sometimes I don't. But it's powerful. It's restful. It helps with our prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain that helps you make better informed, more intelligent decisions because it helps you think long term. When you're tired and stressed, this dampens down our prefrontal cortex, which is the part of our brain that allows us to see long term. Therefore, we move to the other side of our brain, which is more irrational, more emotion led. If I'm stressed, I'm going to eat. So one of the tactics could be get home, even when I'm stressed, controlled recovery period. I'm going to shut my eyes for 5 minutes. Take some time for me, deep breathe, see how I feel then. A mood diary. How do you feel before eating? Write down before eating. How do you feel? What feelings are you feeling? After you've eaten, how do you feel now? Hey, Pauline, that cost benefit analysis. I'm choosing to do this because insert reasons versus I'm choosing not to do this because insert reasons. And remember, I'm going to do it even if I'm tired, even if I can't be bothered. Have that in your head constantly. Don't be boring. I'm touching on this because someone just put, oh, I struggle with don't be boring. Yeah. So have an alternative. Like go for your cost benefits, alcohol-free beer, drive, book something in the morning that means a lot to you. I know some of the ladies are like, oh, I just book in an early morning session. So I'm like, oh, I've got my training in the morning. So I'm not drinking. It's like, you got what? You're doing what? You're doing what? And it's like, it's like a double whammy. Go to bed earlier, not hungover, and I get a workout in. Then I feel amazing in the morning. Wow, it feels good not to be hungover. I'm not saying don't do this all the time, but it's a powerful one. Just have one to celebrate. I've been good today, so I'll have some chocolate. You haven't drunk for months, have a drink. What else could you do to celebrate? Weekend away, massage, treat yourself. But think about like I'm working with someone at the moment and they do about the money they've saved from not comfort eating. And it can be quite scary actually, because often they comfort eat when they're busy, which means they often just grab quite expensive stuff from a petrol station. You know, when people offer you things, oh, you know what, I'm really thirsty, can I just get a drink? You know, it's quite fascinating when you think about the culture we live in where you are kind of like, don't be boring for not having a drug, essentially. Nothing against it. You know, I have drinks from time to time. So any questions at the moment? Do you have any questions? Any questions on self-sabotage? Like I said, in terms of this, just comment below for the free gifts on here. Just comment sabotage and I'll send it over the power questions to overcome the triggers. And then I'll send over the how to overcome self-sabotage worksheet with all the questions that we've just been through. Yeah, no worries, Cheryl. Hopefully it's not something too stressful where you've got to go. And even if it is, you'll be like, you know what, I'm taking the pothole road. Let me know if you took the pothole road or the highway. So just comment sabotage below. And the key thing here is that we get it done. So if you are wanting more accountability support, we do have our summer kickstart. If you want more information on that in terms of Fruity Fit and what we do, comment with Kickstart and get you the details on that. And I just want to finish off. You see a residential course and submergible, yeah. In terms of expectations, like when the word diet comes in your head, like what do you always think? And this is a fascinating study. Mind over milkshakes. So when they gave people, and I'm sharing this to finish on this tonight. Hey, Bindu, how are we doing? I'm finishing this tonight because I want you to think here about when they gave people a shake that said light, slim, diet, and they asked people to how full they were, people said they were still hungry, not satisfied, didn't hit the spot. They then gave people the exact same 300 calorie shake, but in a different packaging, saying creamy, indulgent, full fat. They had that and they all felt satisfied. Not only this, is your mind impacts your physiology. How do we know this? Well, in this study, they showed that when people believed they were more full up, their hunger hormones also showed that, which is fascinating. Again, in this one, people who say that they were non-celiac but had a gluten sensitivity, they blinded the participants and gave them a low FODMAP diet, which is a low fiber diet, but gave them gluten, and yet they had no evidence of impact of gluten on them. So despite them saying that gluten had an issue, when they were told that they weren't eating gluten, even though they were, they had no symptoms, which again is the power of the mind. So that's all I've got on here. Let me know in the comments. What's your biggest takeaway? What's your biggest takeaway from today? What's your biggest takeaway from today? Biggest takeaway from today? Let me know in the comments. One thing that you're going to take and do from today. One thing you're going to take and do from today, because this is all about action. All about action. All about action on here. Let me know your biggest take home. And one thing you do, because what I don't want you to do is sit here, watch it, nod your head, and not do anything. Start saying takeaway. Makes you want a Chinese. No, we'll take the pothole one. Take the pothole rolled, Alison. I should say rolled, don't I? Like rolled doll. Pothole road. Be kind to myself and distract myself when going to company. What are you going to distract yourself with? Diane, I will do it even if. Love it. And then the great thing about that, Diane, is when you say that, you go straight into how you're feeling now, which is powerful. Awesome, Teresa. Glad you found it helpful. Any questions, as always, let me know. Controlled recovery period. Yeah, that's got me out of many tricky situations. Oh, you were having a nap. No, it was a controlled recovery period. Yeah. We're reshaping our childhoods where you weren't allowed to just sit there and do nothing. That's lazy. Once you're up, you're up. Come on. Work hard. No sitting around. Did your parents say? Now it's like, no, you need to have your controlled recovery period. Do a 1-minute workout and carry on. Love it. Take the potholed road, even when the holes seem too bumpy to navigate. Think of the view at the end of the bumpy road. Yeah, absolutely. That's a brilliant thing. You get some great views on those Wiltshire bumpy roads. So, on that note, my sparkling water is running low. Not drank enough, have I? I hope you found that helpful. Any questions, as always, let me know. If you did on replay as well, do let me know. And I will see you soon. Despite the tech issues, we kept at it. How random is that, though, really? that they actually asked for my ID right before this. Like I had to get ID to get into this Q&A. Anyway, I will do it even if I get asked for ID into the seminar. So, well, at least I can say I got ID'd today. There you go. I got ID'd today. Oh, what for? What were you getting? I was doing a seminar on Self Sabotage and I had to get ID'd. Yeah. Anyway, so awesome, Sarah. Any questions? Let me know. That's all I've got for today. So help me. My previous meeting didn't finish until 8:05. Oh, perfect. That was it. You, Alison? You were like asking for ID. Onwards, ever onwards. Yes, perfect. Great stuff. Have an awesome evening. I'm off to wind down. Early night, early start, as ever. That's the benefit. If I get to bed earlier, I feel great in the morning. And in my head now, I'd rather go, oh, you know what, have some time, chill out. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have about 10 minutes chill out. And then I'm getting an early night because I'm thinking about how good I'll feel in the morning when I get up at 5 a.m. and I've got more energy and I've got a long day and I'm feeling good. That is a good feeling. And I've got to put my attention on that. Anyway, cheers, Anne. Glad you found that helpful. Any questions, let me know. If you're on replay as well, do drop a replay and also with your answer these questions as well, because I will keep coming back to this. And I will see you later. Take care.